summarize from the neuroplasticity that has been discussed by the SSIE-USA for human excellence. A few YouTube videos were sent for public awareness and education, as well as somebody who wants to be the trainer for poor people or impoverished or go to the slums and doing their services for NGOs. These are made available digitally. With the presentations, I do represent 0 to 3 Foundation as of today. As a trainer, I am Dr. Meena Chintapalli, the CEO for the SSIE Institute of Educare USA, as ordained by Sri Sathya Sai Baba since April 13th, 2002. And this is a digital institute where profound education was given online, as well as it was implemented in Dr. Chintapalli's practice in her clinics as a developmental, behavioral, and general pediatrician, so that even extremely low birth weight infants with after 5 months to 6 months stay in the NICU for various complications have gone to colleges. So neuroplasticity is essential, and trauma-informed care is very important to identify current problems at school and the way they were handled by the learned experiences of the parents. And to undo the learning, we need massive education and public awareness by everybody on the globe. Therefore, as a follow-up to the neuroplasticity, why first 1,000 days neuroplasticity, and also what to do for attachment and social emotional learning for positive relationships. Let us start with normal newborn behaviors that are very much misinterpreted as pain when the infant cries for the attachment and the responsive care back and forth from the adult caregiver, instead of finding solutions through the touch and cuddling and supporting warm positive relationships. Everybody looks at how can I fix the problem because it's pain. And let's give gripe water in the Eastern world, like in India, or Myoclon drops, or some people even have given Levsin drops. In Dr. Chintapalli's practice, she never used colic drops, but counseled the parents in case there is any family dysfunction or adaptation, understanding that parents or adult caregivers have to adapt to the normal newborn behaviors rather than misinterpret them, and give back the love and scent and care and warmth the infant is expecting, because it is very much distressed once the infant is born. Until you give a name, it is a fetus and it is it, and the infant is it until you give a specific name to a boy or a girl. And once you have given the name, you need to address them with the first name so that they know they belong to you. And that is what they are. The body-mind needs to know who they are. So there are certain adaptations that the infant has to do after birth, because it was in a dark cave, like a cave, floating in warm saline, getting the food directly into the bloodstream, and listening and hearing the words or the stories or the music by the parents or the caregivers who are interested in this fetus, and then also feeling the emotions of the mother carrying the infant. And we have enough data to say if the mother is eating all artificial foods, packaged foods, there are toxins, there are preservatives. And if she is eating, if she is not mentally well, then the infant's right brain, which is the intuition brain, which connects with the world, the hippocampus, which is a combination of amygdala, the emotional brain, and uncus, the intellectual brain, shrinks in its pathway. And there is a setup for compromise. But Once the infant is born, the infant connects to the world through all the senses dynamically, 250,000 cells times 10,000 connectivities per cell to cell to cell, 100 billion of them. And even if an infant has lost them in the extreme low birth weight premature infants or in infants born to drug addict mothers, we still have 60 to 70 billion cells that can connect, and brain has the capacity to go around the 6 centers. It is very mathematical. And so the parent or the stakeholders or there is a manager within the family home who can supervise all the connectivity. So the adaptation is a physical adjustment to the external body temperature, barometric pressure differences, trying to breathe and trying to feed self and get energy through the absorption system, and also being able to listen externally now from the environment around. They are born with implicit capabilities of understanding if there is an intentional involvement of the adult or the adult is not intentionally involved because they're just doing it as a routine. If there is an intentional love, intense syncing with their emotions, infants identify that. Therefore, the adults need to know there are implicit capabilities of robust memory, love, sympathy, empathy, and at birth, the infants are social beings and they're ready to explore, they're ready to learn. They observe the faces, they observe the objects, and they know how they are growing in an environment. So there are certain normal newborn behaviors. Every pregnant lady should know towards the last trimester what are the normal newborn behaviors. First of all, they need to be prepared that infant takes 10 weeks to adjust to live outside my womb. So I need to adapt to the baby's, infant's needs whenever there is a demand or a distress. So therefore, the adults have to feel I need to take rest. When the infant is resting, let others buy the food or bring the food or others help in cooking, or the spouse helps, other spouse helps in cooking, because infant is very demanding of the mother, and there should be a little crib next to the mother's bed, not in the mother, not close sleeping with the mother, because they can really smother the infant in the middle of the night and there will be SIDS, sudden infant death syndrome. Therefore, have in-room capability of having a little bassinet until the infant is 2 months old, and a nursery crib until the infant is recognizing strangers at 6 to 9 months, when they can have their own nursery, and be available. Both parents need to be available. And if the father is involved with the care, basic care, the daily routines, talking and caring for the infant and touching the infant, the IQ point seems to go up 10, and this has been known for 4 or 5 decades now. So this is an adaptation, 10 weeks to get adjusted to living outside the mother's womb. The most important thing is the steroid usually has a circadian rhythm. It's high when we are dealing with the external atmosphere, environmental circumstances, walking, talking, even among the adults, and same for the infants. The cortisol levels go down in the evening. So the stress increases the cortisol levels for the infant, but what we do want to is counter that cortisol levels, because mother and father are the external support to buffer the infant stress. So they cry for their needs. They cry because they wet their diaper, they are hungry, they want to be touched, they just want to be cuddled. They feel like I'm left alone. I'm alone here and I don't know what's going on around me. Please hold me. So they immediately stop when a caregiver, particularly the mother, hugs the infant. Never bounce up and down or side to side, because we can break the blood vessels. We do not know our pressure or strength in our arms, and baby's brain is filled with a heavy capillary system that is sending amount of energy and oxygen to the nerve cells that are connecting actively. This is called brain is a hot zone. So we can break those tender blood vessels because the supporting system is not that strong yet, because the brain architecture is built by the caregiver's competencies in supporting sight, sound, taste, touch, and smell in a positive way for them to thrive. If any one of these, if the baby is swung up and down just to control them rather than looking at them and talking to them, that infant kind of collapse, and they say, oh, we stopped the crying, and that could be detrimental. It could lead into shaken baby syndrome and infarcts within the brain itself. So please understand, pick up the infant when the infant is distressed, wait for 30 to 45 seconds for demand and gratification, and hold the infant, cuddle the infant, and give the comfort, rub the back with your bare hands, skin to skin touch, as well as stroking movements on the scalp to the bottom up towards the shoulders and scalp. Immediately infant calms down. So don't be in a rush to put them back, but take them into a dark, quiet room. And cyclically, this starts around 3 to 4 o'clock every day in the evening and goes on until 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock. And as soon as you comfort the baby down and you put them down, and they're crying again. So try to do certain massage therapies that really connect the infant with the belongingness, which is an essential part of responsive caregiving, and try to give positive vibes for all the senses. What can you do? Go into a dark, quiet room, put a warm water bottle underneath the baby's tummy, and leave a nice classical music, put the baby on a tummy time so the gases come out really easily because they've cried, and play music from 2 o'clock position, which is a soothing Mozart waltz kind of a thing. Or if there are streams or peace-loving music without drums and heavy metals, that will make the baby not listen and shut down the senses. So it has to be very soothing, flute or water sounds, or Mozart, even Mozart's waltz kind of a thing. And the infant usually kind of has a neck straightening reflex. They kind of open up their nose and breathe, and they kind of look up, they raise their neck to feel where the music is coming from. Can the music be heard if it is on the wall coming from a video? No. It has to be within 25 centimeters distance. And if you start at 2 o'clock, 3 minutes prone time, when you are going with your bare hands, you don't need scents because that can irritate the skin. Just a bare hands, a Vaseline petrolatum jelly or Aquaphor ointment, and go from buttocks up towards the shoulders, stroking movements from the scalp down towards the shoulders, fanning movements from the heels to the toes, and circular movements around the legs to thighs, as well as from the arms down to the palms. And do the bicycling exercises even in a prone position. That kind of releases some chemicals for the infant to relax internally. And just the touch of the mother releases the oxytocin. And this oxytocin has a negative feedback suppression of the stress hormones, the adrenaline that increases the blood pressure, stress, and scars the brain, scars the heart, scars other tissues also. The cortisol levels will go down. The infant's autonomic nervous system is one of relaxation, and it is normal to have stress, and the adult is the buffer. But while you're doing that with the music, let the infant listen to the sounds of your own voice, because the infant will heard this voice in the womb, and that calms them down. Same thing with the father too. Both of you take turns. And then at 2 to 3 minutes later, you roll the infant over to the supine position. In other words, you're looking at the face. The infant is looking at your face. Mirror cells are active. And when you're talking, they're looking at your lips. They're trying to imitate. They make crude movements. A lot of people don't realize infants have this much capacity. And they kind of realize over a course of time, this is my loving object, this is my trust, this is my safety, and I can depend upon this couple and they seem to address me, and my name is Sam or Rama or Rama. So something like that, or George or Mary, so they identify themselves that they are addressed by their first name. That is very, very important. And so you continue the massage therapy from the bottom of the stomach area to the shoulders and stroking movements, and palm, with the pill rolling movements, because they have a passive grasp, they grasp your fingers, but open them up and gently massage. You're myelinating the sensory motor system. They are looking into the eyes and they're following your face, they're following the movement. You can take a little sponge ball, that has about dark and white colors, and you could take yellow and orange, and it has to be light and dark, so they kind of follow. When they follow, it also connects to the cognitive brain, which has to control emotions in the future, as well as the pathways are well developed to read fast and understand fast when they're 3, 5, 8 and 12. So these are if the brain is a digital analog, we are creating pathways so that there is a rapid transmission, so they are not choppy readers when they are in the primary school. So this movement is not just for now, it is for the future also, because parents are the architects of the brain for the structure as well as the function, so that the function is optimal when the infant grows to go to preschool and school. So this is a preschool readiness program pioneered by Dr. Meena Chintapalli between 1990 to 2003, as she was reading more evolving literature on neurocognitive development, impact of trauma, and so on. So that movement is very important. And then the circular movements from thighs down to feet, and hold the foot in your hand and massage from heel upwards, outwards. So you could see the Babinski reflex and, toe clasping. And do the bicycling exercises. Connect the right with the left and the left with the right, as well as left upper extremity to right upper extremity to the left legs. And so we are crossing the right and left brain connectivity, which is essential to prevent autism as well as ADHD. So while you're talking to them, they're watching, they're getting comforted, it is a routine, and they usually relax after these exercises, they sleep. You don't need any colic drops. Colic is communication. Colic is communication for various needs: hunger, security, being anxious, as well as, for wet diaper and dirty diaper and so on. And always talk to them when giving a little bath, sponge bath, or lay the infant on the grandmother's. It used to be a tradition in India. The grandmothers always had their clothes up all the way to the thighs and had the infant lie down. They're looking at the infant and they're massaging the infant, and they're really using lukewarm water, sprinkling on the body. Then they talk to them, they sing to them lullaby. And those days were gone. Everybody's running through the door, leaving the infants under the care of extended family members or nannies, and I don't know if they're doing that. Everybody should do this. Now there are bathtubs and sponges that leaves the hands free, so people can talk and describe the parts of the body. We are labeling the parts of the body. The infant is learning what is nose, what is hand, what is fingers. Even from the time, people may not realize infants have a capacity to listen and iteratively, said 5 or 6 times. They make a cue, cause and effect association to know what it is. And it is going into the brain, it will spit out after a while. And then if you do the music at 2 o'clock, in the prone position, the right ear is listening and sending messages to the left, including the sensory motor cortex, and the Broca's area, which is for expression of language, is getting stimulated, hyperstimulated. So they want to talk, particularly when they see the mother's face in the supine position. Now it is coming, the 2 o'clock is stimulating the left ear and going into the right brain pathways. So we are connecting for hearing and vision as well as sensory motor cortex. Both the brains are getting connected within the intracerebral system, within the brain hemisphere. And to opposite hemisphere, because both brains need to coordinate to work together to make us the supreme human beings and intellectuals. Not only that, when we are doing these exercises, we are enhancing the myelination. So the infants usually have a stiff knees and stiff elbows. They get relaxed and they can probably start using their motor system a lot earlier, because the emotional system is very well developed at birth, and the motor system is not developed. And if they are in par with each other, the stress of the infant is less, because they can follow their natural tendency to explore the environment, move quickly, and try to focus on the goals that they wanted to do, because their brain thinks all the time and they want to make concepts and they want to explore the environment. So this has been developed to stimulate the brain, that has helped extremely low birth weight infants from the neonatal intensive care unit who had intracranial bleeds and who had oxygen toxicity of the lungs as well as the eyes, have been going to colleges, and they're professionals right now, 40 of them. Never published in peer-reviewed journals because of various reasons. In private practice, it is not that amenable to publication compared to the academic practice. Anyway, this is what the SSIE Institute of Educare for Human Excellence does want to give to the humanity wherever you are on the globe. And please listen to these few words. Now, sneezing is common because they were in a sterile womb, and then they are exposed to the external 84,000 bugs every breath we take. And the nose gets colonized, and there will be mastocytes, eosinophils, and everything. They do seem to cause mucus production, clean the mucus with the normal saline, and they sneeze. And it is okay. It is not a common cold. If the infant is feeding well, doesn't acts the response to your eye contact and response to your cuddling, and is able to calm down whether there is fever or not, that is not infection. And infection, from 85% of infections, infect is protected because of the passive maternal antibodies that stay in the system until 6 to 9 months. So we don't see so many common colds and viruses except for respiratory syncytial virus and COVID viruses, because they mutate so much. Very rarely we see influenza if the mother had the vaccines and had a few infections. Now the hiccup. Baby's stomach capacity is like 15 ml at birth, and they only get about 10 ml colostrum in the first 3 days or so, and then they gradually increase the capacity of the stomach to get 2 to 3 ounces by the end of the 3rd week. But mother has to follow alternating the initiation of the breast milk, so that both breasts are stimulated each feed, and where the infant left off should be the point where the mother should start putting the infant to. So if she started on the right side, the infant suckles for about 20 minutes and gets a little colostrum, and the infant is put to the other side after a minute or two of rest, and then where the infant left off, that should be the side the mother starts next time, 15 to 20 minutes and 10 minutes on the other side. It looks like, oh boy, I'm getting up every 2 minutes, every 2 hours, and half the time I'm just feeding the baby. But if the mother is not stressed out and can eat some galactagogues, and I'll name a few in a second, this infant is getting protein, fat, and enough, not just the sugar and minerals and the water in the initial feeding phase. Where it is left off has secreted more of these fat and protein that will hold the hunger for about 2 to 3 hours. And if it is thoroughly followed from the 3rd day of delivery, when the mother feels engorgement and secretions and the milk production is there, that infant is getting a wholesome nutrition, not only the basic essentials, but stem cells, immune protectors, very, very important. And it prevents cancer, it prevents immunological disorders. So breastfeeding is supreme compared to any bottle feeding in the beginning. And exclusive breastfeeding is important in the first 12 months because they get all the neurochemicals, digestive chemicals, and products in the right amount. What are the galactagogues? These galactagogues help enhance production. Papaya salad, raw papaya salad, the white one, not the ripe one. Raw papaya salad with moringa leaves, and sauteed with a little ginger, little turmeric, little black pepper. It is an essential antioxidant that mother is getting. So the combination of ginger root, turmeric root, and black pepper goes a long way in preventing a lot of infections even in the infant. And so those and moringa leaves that could be used as a dal, it could be sauteed and eaten with the garlic, ginger, sauteed with the tomatoes and are thrown into the salads, bok choy salads, so on. You know, that is moringa is very important. There is a root called a suran that is available in India stores, and moringa leaves are also regularly sold in India stores, wherever you are in the globe, or from your own garden. If you are in the tropical countries and subtropical countries, you can use them. Moringa is excellent. You can make powder with the curry leaves, and follow the recipes that are on YouTube. You can saute lentils, you can saute a little black pepper, coriander seeds, peanuts, sesame seeds, and make a nice powder that you can eat every day, sprinkled on your food with a little ghee. That is very, very productive. So suran sauteed as such with the salt and pepper and olive oil, that's good too. Fennel seeds and dill seeds, when you boil them, you can drink the tea with a little lemon and honey. It's very good for the production of the breast milk. Of course, garlic, onion go a long way in controlling the infections, as well as oxytocin release and antioxidants release. So this is what you would buy, when you're buying those packets of tea from the stores. It is fennel seeds and dill seeds put together. A little turmeric, a little ginger root, a little black pepper, having some cloves, cardamoms, cinnamon powders, mixed into different things, or making a green tea with these, with the moringa leaves. All these will help. Tulasi, which is a holy basil, also is essential for the immune system of the mother. So although mother is consuming these are secreted into the breast milk and help the gut immunity as well as general immunity of the infant, and these are the natural antioxidants and probiotics. If mother can consume more of the steel cut oats and quinoa and millets compared to white rice or wheat flour all the time, that will also enhance the probiotics and the protein intake and essential neuro elements for the infant also. Mother having a little exercise also helps because the brain-derived neurotropic factors along with the probiotics helps the infant also get a brain-derived neurotropic factors. Coming to sneezing and hiccups, when the infant's stomach is very small and when the stomach is stretched with the formula, the diaphragm seems to go into a spasm, so the respiratory capacity increases and they sleep through it. Don't do anything. Don't shake them. Don't startle them. You don't need to. But always hold the infant upright 15 to 20 minutes because the food and where the stomach connect, the food pipe and the stomach connect is a weak junction. So don't bounce them after feeding. Hold them on your shoulders and lay them on the back to prevent sudden infant death syndrome, and lay them in their own bassinet or crib, and they can handle it very well. And if you could give underneath the mattress a little sponge wedge 30 degrees up, that also helps because they're in a limited space. But the skin to skin touch is very, very important. They get that more, and they're more relaxed as much as breastfeeding is done. And soothing sounds in the house. We see children are left with extended family caregivers or nannies who are watching TV while, they feel that the baby doesn't know anything. And the baby is watching that screen that will disturb the micro and macro aggregates of the synaptic connections without axonal proliferation. Infants only will learn when they can see everything good. If they see something, features of violence on the face, on the TV in a movie, and they're sitting in grandma's lap, that itself is enough to suppress their brain system, so they do not connect with the world very well, and they go into a survival mode rather than thriving mode. So please remember this: no screen time for adult caregivers, and no screen time for the nannies who are watching and giving an iPhone thinking the baby is going to learn this phonics. It's wrong. They will only learn when there is an eye-to-eye connection and the massage therapies and talking to them, labeling everything as you give the bath or the diaper change, or sleep time or story time. Nothing other than one-to-one co-joint attention. And if you follow reading to 4-week-old infant, you could see the infant is very much interested in brown bear, brown bear. What do you see? You have to be in sync with those emotions and read with the intonation that is appropriate for the scene. And reading 4 to 5 books, even from newborn time, or even when they're a little bit stable after 2 to 3 weeks, that is wonderful, because they can learn about baby animals. They can touch the baby animal skin, the sensitivities, touch various fabrics, that imitate animals and birds and feathers. It's very important. So sneezing and hiccups and spitting up is very common because of the food pipe is there is no valve between the food pipe and the stomach. So don't bounce them and follow those precautions already enumerated. Infants do not have constipation. Infant who is breastfed, after they have gotten rid of their green stuff and the brown stuff, they make yellow seedy bird seed bowel movements, and that could be after every feed because of the gastrocolic reflex. When they're distended, they need to empty, and that's natural way of not distending the stomach. And then that changes to going once in 5 or 6 days, because every grain in the breast milk is absorbed. And as long as stomach is soft, there is no green vomitings, there is no distensions. And if the infant is alert and playful, do not try to stimulate the rectum. You can break down the nerve fibers there. Do not put glycerin suppositories. You can hurt the infant. Do not give water, because water is dangerous for infants until they are eating solid foods. So please understand, this is normal. Exclusively breastfed baby does absorb every grain of the breast milk, and they naturally don't use too many diapers, and they urinate very well. That's what you need to look at. And the abdomen, if it is soft and not distended, sucking well and rooting well, and suckling is very strong. Please do not disturb. Sleep time. Baby doesn't know this is night. I should sleep because the adults are sleeping. This is daytime. I should be up. Infant gets up whenever they want to. Infants do not they do not have a circadian rhythm, it will be 10 weeks before it gets established. So looking at this slide, you understand how important it is for us to connect from giving that security, giving that trust, to feel adapted, well adapted. Then we'll talk more because we're just confined right now to 2 weeks to 2 months. And this nurturing, supporting care of social emotional learning, responsive care, back and forth, servant written, as well as giving the attachment to infants' demands and attending to them within 30 to 45 seconds is not spoiling an infant, not bouncing the infant, but just giving that cuddling, your presence, your calm presence, not your anxiety. Infants get anxious and they cry more. Your calm hands are very important. Your not hypertonic arms. When you're stressed out, your tone of the voice is wrong, and your tone of the muscles is also felt by the infant. So try to work on your self-care issues. Schedules in a breastfed baby, they're on their demand. We do not want the mother to be used as a pacifier. Once the baby has established a very good sucking, rooting, and able to suck, find the mother's breast and take breastfeeding well, you can dip a pacifier in a little liquid solution or a squirt of your own breast milk and then give it to the baby, so you're not going to become raw and bleeding. And mother can spread her own milk after the baby is fed so that the nipples and areola are not cracked up. So these are the pointers in the first few normal behaviors that we want to discuss about. They do not have a circadian rhythm, it will be 10 weeks before it gets established. So looking at this slide, you understand how important it is for us to connect from giving that security, giving that trust, to feel adapted, well adapted. Then we'll talk more because we're just confined right now to 2 weeks to 2 months. And this nurturing, supporting care of social emotional learning, responsive care, back and forth, servant written, as well as giving the attachment to infants' demands and attending to them within 30 to 45 seconds is not spoiling an infant, not bouncing the infant, but just giving that cuddling, your presence, your calm presence, not your anxiety. Infants get anxious and they cry more. Your calm hands are very important. Your not hypertonic arms. When you're stressed out, your tone of the voice is wrong, and your tone of the muscles is also felt by the infant. So try to work on your self-care issues. Schedules in a breastfed baby, they're on their demand. We do not want the mother to be used as a pacifier. Once the baby has established a very good sucking, rooting, and able to suck, find the mother's breast and take breastfeeding well, you can dip a pacifier in a little liquid solution or a squirt of your own breast milk and then give it to the baby, so you're not going to become raw and bleeding. And mother can spread her own milk after the baby is fed so that the nipples and areola are not cracked up. So these are the pointers in the first few normal behaviors that we want to discuss about.